Hi everybody. I'm going to be doing an update on Hydroponic Garden version 3 and a preview of Hydroponic Garden version 4. I've just come back from Florida. I've been there for about a month or so, and I've come back to find that my things are growing well. I had to make a couple of transplants because some of the plants did not grow as I had intended, and I ended up just yanking them. So anyway, to get started, the cucumber was the first thing that I had to get rid of. It started out great, but the leaves just completely destroyed, and they just dried up and just blew away within the first couple of days after I got back. So as you can see, I've just got some rock medium floating in an ebb and flow with some seeds just kind of floating on top there, and believe it or not, those actually will germinate. Rosemary bush, the woman that was taking care of the garden while I was away, absolutely raved about the rosemary and chopped quite a bit off, which I'm glad, because otherwise it would just be a nightmare to come back to. It would be all bushy. The cilantro I ended up replacing. Cilantro just does not take well, and I don't know what it is about the Midwest, but I just cannot get the darn thing to grow. So anyway, what I found is some Aunt Molly's ground cherries, and for any of you that have not grown ground cherries before, they grow in these little seed pods that I don't know if you can see it as clearly, but I put these seeds in probably about 3 days before I left for Florida, which was back in the middle of November, and I already have buds and pockets on each of them. If you have not grown ground cherries, they're very similar to tomatoes, and I encourage you to look them up because they are just one of the sweetest fruits you'll ever eat. Parsley is just growing by leaps and bounds. I did chop a bunch off before I left. I encouraged the housekeeper to chop a bunch off as well, and as you can tell, she obviously did. But it just continues to grow just really, really well, and I'm very pleased with the parsley because I love this. I love the taste of fresh parsley. Oregano, the last time you saw this, it was probably just a bunch of little stems and the little flowers kind of coming up from the bottom. And this thing has just gone really, really well in the absence. So I'm very pleased with the oregano. The other variety of oregano, which is Italian variety, I've had to trim this back, and what you see is what is left after I've trimmed it back. I gave away nearly a half of a pound of oregano upon my return. That was a couple of days ago, and it has just continued to flourish in the garden very, very well. Thyme, I was also told that the thyme is delicious, so I'm going to take it as a sign that there's some cuttings off there. And as you can see by the variant colorations in the stems, there's some new growth growing in there, which I'm very pleased with. Peppermint mint, I was told that it makes an excellent tea, so we're going to continue to do that. It looks like she cut it down a little far, but nonetheless, that's fine. I gave a bunch of it away as well, so I'm probably just as much to blame as anybody. Spearmint, very, very, very disappointing. Very disappointing entirely. I'm having a feeling, I've been doing some research, and I find that spearmint is something that does not really grow well hydroponically because it needs runoff. It needs the water to be removed from it. So I'm going to let this continue to grow and see where it goes, but as far as this goes, I'm very disappointed with the spearmint, but I may yank that out and try something different. Sage, don't need to say anything about the sage. I was told that during Thanksgiving it made a wonderful dressing, and I just saw a recipe on Gordon Ramsay's show about wrapping pork in sage and then cooking it like a meatloaf, so I'm got more than enough to do that. Basil, again, my pride and joy. This is post-trimming. I cut off probably about 3 full cups of basil and made pesto out of it right after I got back, and as you can see, this thing just continues to grow like mad. I'm very pleased with it, very, very pleased. This is the Genovese basil plant that I just planted before I left. It's only got one stalk. There's a couple of smaller stalks in there that you can see are finally starting to come up, but again, basil seems to do really, really well hydroponically, and I'm very pleased with that. To continue the update, if any of you have ever tried to grow Hawaiian Thai plants, you find that they tend to grow with leaves very kind of broad and rough and kind of bristly, really. Using the runoff in a standard woodpecker waterer from the hydroponic solution, I have gotten leaves, and I'll give you a demonstration. That's my hand. The broadleaves on this thing are coming out at anywhere from 16 to 24 inches. I couldn't be happier because this thing has gone through a real crisis, going from, a nice sunny southern window all the way to Midwestern weather. So as you can see, the newest shoot is continuing to grow and absolutely fantastically growing very well. So, what did I do in Florida? Well, I dreamed of hydroponic garden version 4 is what I basically did. And I'm still setting it up. I've still got a little bit more wiring to do and a little bit more electronics to do. But one thing I did bring back with me was a Calamandan orange tree. And for those of you that are familiar with Asian cooking, Calamandan orange is primarily used just for taste. But this was just something I picked up in a souvenir shop. So I'm giving it a try. I'm going to see what I can do with it. I'm giving it a acclimation period to lighting and so forth. And I have already removed it from its root ball and put it in rock and give it a dunk every so often in hydroponic solution. All the reading that I've been doing is telling me that citrus does not like wet roots, so I'm going to have to try and figure out a way around this one. But doing a drip system, I don't think that's going to be too hard. And that is what this enclosure, Hydroponic Garden version 4, is going to be. It's going to be entirely a drip system. I've already done all the plumbing work around the top to make sure that I can use woodpeckers so that I can do drip systems. The other thing that I'm very pleased with are the strawberries that I planted before I left. These are a particular variety called alpine strawberries, and they only produce fruits as big as your thumbnail. So as you can see, these are just taking really well. And in the hydroponic garden, they just grow like crazy. Now, though, those are peat pots. I have not extracted off the roots from the peat pots, but as you can tell, they have absolutely no problem with going through the peat and getting out. So I'm going to have to do something with these very soon, and I already have the stuff ready. So I'm going to probably be moving these over by the time I do my next video. Other thing I wanted to try, I don't know if you can get a good picture of that, are blueberries. I wanted to give blueberries a shot. This was just planted shortly before I got home. And shortly after I got home, and they've already started to bloom, which I'm very pleased with. And again, another pair of ground cherries. Again, ground cherries, if you have not looked them up, certainly do so. They grow really well with a lot of water. They absolutely love water. And once you see how they grow, you'll probably be walking along the forest path one day or biking on a biking trail and instantly recognize them for what they are. So that is update for December, and I will talk to you all very soon. Thanks very much for watching, and send me your questions. Bye.